Hi, how's it going? Alex, Clayton, Dale, Daryl, Flo. Oh, the list is long. George, Corinne, John, Christy, Lynn, Mike. What up, Mr. Clemsrude? Good to see you, man. Momo, I'm digging it. Randy Helton, Sharon, Susan, Tamer. Love to see you guys. Thanks you all for being early like this. I am going to kick off right on time, which is less than a minute from now. But I'd love it if you guys can give me a thumbs up down in the chat question and answer box there. Let me know that you can see me, that you can hear me. That would be super cool. And then we're going to dig in. All right, good stuff. Thanks, John. Thanks, Mike. Loving it. This is a pro tip, by the way. You can always tell whether the webinar is actually happening or not if there's a delay between when the host asks a question and when the answer actually appears. I love that. I don't know what these marketers are thinking where they're going to fake a live webinar. Like we don't know what's going on there all the time. So anyway, I am absolutely stoked to be here with you today. I have a ton of great stuff to share. And we're going to dive in just as soon as that hits 3 o'clock. I see Barbara's here. Welcome, Barbara Bodnar. I love that you're here. This is awesome. The numbers just climbing, tick, 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 tick. Pretty typical for webinars. Like it's 3 o'clock on the dot now, and we're going to see the attendance here rise and rise and rise over the next few minutes. That said, I have a ton to cover, and I'm not into wasting time, so we're going to dive in. So those people who might get here a little later, they're just going to have to catch it on the replay. So here's the deal, guys. Today, there are going to be no crazy deals. There are no sales, right? There's no stupid fear of loss stuff. It's just value, 100% value. And that starts right now. So I'm going to dig in. I'm going to share with you some things I've learned here over just the past few weeks. I recently spoke at an event at the Houston Association of Realtors where I learned some things that need to be shared. So that's going to happen today. And then we're going to dig into all the cool new stuff that we've been up to. So first value drop for you is about to hit the screen. If you want the healthy database checklist, if you want to figure out what it is you need to do to actually monetize your database properly, just send us an email right now, yes@happygrasshopper.com, and we will, of course, send you that checklist. So free resource, costs you nothing, super simple and easy. Second value drop. You see right here, follow me at getwithdan.com. I spend a fair bit of time on social, a fair bit of time writing and teaching. I travel all over the country, and that's the best place to figure out where I am and where I'm going to be. Those of you who are members, and some of you, like Barb Bodnar, are our badassadors. So how cool is this? Happy Grasshopper members that join our badassadors group, they can actually travel with me around the country. So next upcoming event is in Las Vegas. I'll be there September 26th and 27th, speaking at the Explode conference there. It's a 2-day event, so it's going to be awesome. So next piece of value, we're going to move right through this. I'm offering time with me or a member of my staff, right? We are introducing a ton of new stuff. If you're an existing member, your account's about to be upgraded. You don't have to worry about this. I'm not asking you for more money. It's like super awesome. If you're not our member, you need to jump on board. You need to take advantage of this link right now. I won't let just anyone sign up, right? We need to make sure that our service is a good fit for people. So we go through a process. We are a process-driven organization. So when you go to happygrasshopper.com/next-steps, what's going to happen is you'll see a page like this and you can click to schedule a call. There's a ton of information on the page, way more than I could fit on the screen here. And that will help you understand exactly why you should want to schedule that call with us. Now, how's that, right? I'm already through like the cheesy sales stuff. We're just 3 minutes in. And the audience I see is still continuing to grow. So for those of you who may be attending one of my events for the first time, I'll give you a little bit of background. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have started, I've succeeded, I've started and I've bunted, and of course I've started and I've failed. Along the way, I spent 4 years on the Inc. 500. And I happen to have found this little company called Happy Grasshopper, which has been an absolute labor of love for me. And I'm super privileged to share with you some of the stuff that I've learned along the way. So today, most of my time is spent traveling. Like I go all over the country and I speak and I teach, and every now and then I get invited to a place where I get to be the dumb guy in the room, and that feels awesome to me. One particularly memorable day here took place last year. That was a pretty cool day. I mean, they put me on the Times Square billboard there at the NASDAQ. So that was definitely a memorable day. And of course, when I come home, I live here on my horse farm just outside of Tampa, Florida. Now, why am I showing you this, right? I'm showing you this not so much to impress you, but because I really want to impress upon you that the stuff I'm doing, the stuff I'm teaching works, right? This is what I've done to build the success I've been fortunate to have. And I'm a guy who didn't start with all the advantages. Like I didn't start with 100 million and end up with a few million. I started with nothing, with less than nothing. Like student loan debt was all I had. And through great relationships with other people, through some hard work, through some aspirational thinking, I've been able to achieve these things. And I believe that if I can do it, you guys absolutely can. So my whole focus at this stage in my life is about paying forward what I've learned so that other people can benefit from it. And we're going to dig right in here. So I mentioned that I recently spoke at the Houston Association of Realtors, and I was there to give a presentation called Same Shift, Different Day. Now, a lot of us, particularly those in the real estate space, we hear a lot about the shift. And yet many of us kind of look around our markets and we go, things are pretty good. I don't know about this whole shift thing. So I want to open your eyes to some of the change that's on the horizon for you, okay? And this may not be the easiest conversation you're ever going to have in your life because it's uncomfortable, right? We're going to face that discomfort together, and I'm going to show you a path through it. So let's acknowledge some disruptive forces that are obvious to all of us today. We know these brands, right? We use these brands. And we do it in a way that feels natural and normal now, and yet each of these brands has come along and disrupted some existing players. So, let's let this be a guide. Those of you who are in the real estate space, you need to understand that what your consumers are seeing is a time where everything is getting easy, right? Everything is getting free. That's what we expect. And the way that shows up in the real estate space is like this, right? Your potential clients are seeing that they could pay just a 1% commission, right? They're trading in service for convenience and certainty, right? There are apps that let people have an open house all the time, right? You just download the app. Oh, there's an ad. Oh, I can go. Tick, tick, tick. Boom, boom. The door's open and off we go. So all of those sorts of things are real concerns, right? They are real things that are out there in the market. We've got brokerages that have built billion-dollar valuations without brick and mortar facilities, right? My friends at EXP, you know what we're talking about. We've got iBuyers, and then of course we've got these 35% referral leads. So, raise your hand for me in the chat if you've ever purchased leads from realtor.com. Raise your hand. Just go ahead and tell me in the chat. And Tom, I see Tom saying there's a big lag on the video and the audio. Is anybody else experiencing that? Or are we good? Gene, you're doing the realtor.com leads, all right? No lag, we're good. Thanks, Flo. It's not very loud. Can you guys hear me all right? Let me see if I can adjust that. Okay, guys, I have my microphone volume cranked, so hopefully you can hear that all right. So let's see what else we got. Good, I'm glad that's better, Mike. Okay, so good stuff, right? We've got all this sort of change that's coming to the real estate market. And, naturally, when you see stuff like that, there's a period of time where you're like, I don't know if this is going to affect us or not, right? And so if we look around the real estate industry, we see a lot of people that are either saying things or have said some things about change that we now consider just the way things are. right? So the real estate market, they'll say things like, oh, Zillow won't make it. They won't. Because the Zestimate, it's so inaccurate. Who's going to want to deal with that? No one is. Of course they won't, right? Agents will never work for a virtual brokerage. No, they need to come here to our brick and mortar facility. Yeah, Redfin, how can they make it charging those low fees? It won't happen, right? Consumers paying higher fees to iBuyers? No, they won't do that. It won't happen. And of course, one of my favorites, that Compass can't survive when it runs out of money. So we hear these things, right? We perhaps have even said these things, and yet there's a whole lot of evidence out there that that is showing things in the other direction. And I'll get into some of those details here in a moment, but let's kind of take stock of these things one at a time. If we just look at iBuyers, we need to recognize that there are billions and billions and billions of dollars at stake here. These are all major companies, and many of them are being funded by one source. It's a Japanese venture capital firm called SoftBank. They're funneling billions of dollars into the market for the purpose of changing the way that real estate gets sold. Okay, so think about this. We're already used to a model in our lives where we take something we spent a lot of money for and we sell it at a reduced dollar value for convenience. We do that. That happens in our society, and you've experienced that yourself whenever you go in to buy another car, right? Maybe you paid 30, 40, 50 grand, who knows, $120,000 for a car for some people. And when it's time to trade it in, they're not wanting the inconvenience of selling that. They're not trying to find another person to sell it for them. They're going back to the dealer and they're trading it in, right? So these companies that you see on the screen right now, they see that reality and they're taking steps to create it, right? Because if Zillow Group can buy your home for a low dollar amount and then they can sell it for a higher dollar amount, that's a good business to be in. Just like it's a good business for the car dealership to pay you far less than what they'll sell your car for to another buyer. Now that's all well and good, right? But let's look at the data. Okay, so Zillow today is generating 20,000 leads per month from people who want to sell their home. 20,000 leads per month. And yet they're buying only 200 homes per month. Now compare that with Open Door, where we've got 2,700 leads per month and 1,354 purchases per month. So Open Door is doing a much better job of actually acquiring the homes at this point, and yet Zillow is doing a much better job of generating the leads. Now, there's an Inman headline, I believe it was yesterday, from Inman Connect, which is taking place right now in Las Vegas, where we've got Zillow saying that they're no longer a media company. They're a services company. That's a sea change. That's a fundamental shift in the stated purpose of the brand. And if you see what these stats add up to, and then you read in the reports what their stated intentions are, it's a pretty interesting picture. Like something really really important to grab onto is the change in value Zillow had when their CEO changed. Like when Mr. Barton came back and replaced Mr. Raskoff, the stock immediately went up. And whenever there's a company that's traded on the exchange, they have the ability to generate as much capital as they need to accomplish a stated goal, provided that they continue to grow. Well, so that makes you say to yourself, well, let's see, what is Zillow's growth plan? That's a heck of a lot of leads they're generating, and yet they're only buying 200. Well, right now, they're selling the difference, right? They're selling those leads to agents, and they're happy to do that. And yet their stated ambition is to buy more homes, right? In 3 to 5 years, they expect to be purchasing as many as 5,000 homes per month, generating $20 billion in revenue. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I think that, when you're presented with something like this in the market, you have to think about what it really means. Like, there will be a declination in the volume of listings you're able to get because people will look to the convenience here. I remember a time as a kid when my father was transferred, and the market was, the home we owned was not an easy one to sell, and it sat on the market for 18 months, and we were supporting 2 households. My father would have instantly sold that home to an iBuyer if he could have. Like, there would be no question. So market conditions are going to play into this, and when you've got SoftBank and all that venture capital, these iBuyer companies, not only can they afford to buy the home, but they can afford to hold it, right? Because they've got the market cap to do so. They absolutely do. And we see that, other brands are responding to this. Like Keller Williams has an iBuyer program in the works. And, other companies, like I'll show you some recent stock reports here for Realogy. We're seeing the impact there. There's absolutely an impact. So it's a time of change, right? And I don't want to panic you guys about this. I just want you to be aware of it. Whatever happens in the market, there's a way to get through it. And I'm going to absolutely clear up and provide that way for you. And yet, before we do that, we need to know exactly where we are. So one other issue that could be monumental is facing the industry today. And that's the lawsuit regarding the MLS. So, it's pretty interesting here, right? They're claiming that the structure in which real estate is transacted today creates an organic monopoly. And the idea is that the MLS is providing some sort of less than fair way for property to be exposed. So, let me ask you, what happens to real estate if the MLS goes away? It's kind of a tough question, right? For years, and those of you who've been in the business a long time, the value proposition was, we have the listings, right? That's where the market is. We made the market because we had the data. And then, of course, the internet caused all that data to be set free, so everyone has it. And now we compete on service. And yet, in an environment where the MLS is threatened or doesn't exist, what do we compete on, right? How do we get chosen in the face of iBuyers? There's one way, and it's through relationship. Now, we can look to other markets and see that this is the case. Like, I have clients in Costa Rica, for example, where not only do you not need a license, but there's no MLS. So it's a free-for-all. Anyone can transact real estate. There's absolutely no entity that's watching to make sure that the consumer is well taken care of. Now, I'm not saying we're ever going to get to that reality. What I'm doing is highlighting that in a market with fewer controls, it's really possible. It's really possible to do business based on relationships. Like, those who are thriving in that market, they do so because they have great relationships with buyers and sellers. And so many of you, like, I just look at the list of attendees here. I read through all these people paying attention right now. I see Barb and Clayton and Dar and David. David, it's good to see you. Eric Yan is here. That's awesome. Flo. I mean, so many of you, as I just scroll through your names, like, we've made personal connections. We've done that. And in times of stress, in times of change, it's those personal connections that carry us through. So I'm gonna do something a little bit unusual here right now for a webinar, because there's an experience I had in my life where we dealt with a monumental change, and it taught me just a ton about how to deal with what's coming up. So some of you have heard me tell this story before, and I'm just going to go ahead and kill off the screen share here. We'll just put the camera on right now so you can focus on my face here as I tell the story. So when I was a boy, my father had a job where his boss inherited a sailboat, and the idea was that the sailboat needed to be moved around the coast of Florida. So down from Isla Mirada, around the Keys, up the west coast to Sarasota, and that was going to be our family vacation. Like, it should have been an awesome experience. Unfortunately, the boat sank with 2 adults and 3 kids on board. We went down, And we spent 2 days in the water on a reef hoping to be rescued. So I want you to just think about that scenario for a moment, right? Put yourself in my dad's shoes. You're out with your family. You're on a strange boat. You're not sure how everything works. You're trying to figure it out. This isn't the big trip. It's just a chance to get, acclimated to the boat. And you hear a thunk and you realize you've knocked a big hole in the side of the hull, and the boat is just, water is rushing in, and it's not going to be long. That's when you discover the radio doesn't work. That's when you discover the life jackets are rotten. And then, of course, the boat comes to rest on the bottom and leans over on its side, and we just had a little bit of fiberglass exposed at the surface. So we stood on the fiberglass, and we're waving and yelling our arms. We see boat traffic going by, and nobody's stopping for us, right? And then we start to notice that there's like some splashing in the water, and wow, this crystal clear water on a reef, you can really see, and there are sharks in the water. Like, whoa, it's so scary. They're right there. They're like chasing fish, and it was a pretty rough situation. And that night, when the sun started to go down, the tide came in, and that little bit of fiberglass we had went away. So, we're standing on the fiberglass as the water gets higher and higher and higher and higher. And all of a sudden, we're in the water where we know the sharks are. And this is the reason I'm telling you that story. They didn't bite us, right? The sharks didn't. We were terrified of them. We lived in terror of them for 2 days. And yet they never came in and they ate us. That did not happen. So, the point of explaining this story is that right now there can be a lot of fear in our market. And there are people who want to stand up and say, this is an absolute game changer. Like, you need to think about leaving the industry. You need to completely realign, or you need to buy this widget or that widget or the other widget in order to protect yourself. And I'm going to stand against that and say, if you want to survive the change that's taking place in the industry right now, you're going to do so by investing in the relationships that you already have. Because there's nothing that we won't do for a friend, right? It's the truth. So I see it time and time again in my life with the multiple businesses I've owned. Wherever it feels like we're stuck or there's a place where things aren't working like they could, it always comes down to relationships that make the difference. And when I share this with you during a webinar like this, my whole intent is to wake you up to the fact that now is the actual time to do something about this. Like, now is the time when you need to look at those relationships that you have, and you need to take stock of them. You need to form more consistent communications with the people in your life. You need to demonstrate that you value them beyond their potential to simply generate revenue for you, right? You need to be better at being a human being who's serving others than any algorithm could ever be, right? Your value to your customers needs to become completely unassailable. And when you do that, when you really nail that, the good news is you get off this crazy roller coaster. Like, a lot of us feel like sales is up and down, it's peaks and valleys. We've got these crazy dips and turns. And when you're really using database nurturing to its fullest, well, you can get off that crazy ride. It doesn't have to be that way. Now, these two words, I put them together, and I think a lot of you are going, oh yeah, I know what that is. I'm here to tell you that you probably don't. Like, database nurturing can be incredibly great for any business, and yet when you're doing it wrong, it's just, it's painful, it makes you tired. And yet when you're doing it right, wow, it makes a massive difference. So one goal that I have for today is to help you understand what doing it right actually looks like. So all database nurturing simply, if we just boil it down to its most basic elements, we've got 3 parts. We've got the message, we have the mechanics, and then we have your individual mindset, right? So the people who are going to do best with database nurturing, these are people who really care about people, who want to engage and be invested in their lives. Like, I'll tell you a quick story about my father-in-law, Dave Massey. He passed away at the end of last year, and he had been a realtor for like 30 years. And he's the kind of guy who, if he jumped out of an airplane, he was going to make like 10 friends before he got to the ground. He was that guy who just showed up in people's lives in a way that they're like, "Oh, Dave's here. That's awesome." So I'm going to encourage you to adopt a mindset that allows you to be that kind of person, right? And to become that person, you really just need to have their interests ahead of your own, which you're all fiduciaries, right? So theoretically, you should already feel that way. You just have to let it show up in the way that you're communicating. And, of course, that's where a challenge really lies, right? Because the first thing that you've got to really own to be able to communicate effectively is organization. And that's not like an easy, simple thing for most people. It is for our success coaches who do this for our clients every day of the week. But, if you're an agent and you've got your database spread out all over the place, it's in your phone, your email, your MLS, this CRM, that CRM, your different lead sources. Well, we need to go to all those different places, and we need to pull the contacts out of them. We need to deduplicate them, right? Merge them. And then, of course, we've got to title case correct them. So we're not all caps shouting at people or using like all lowercase. We don't want to whisper either, right? And then once we've done that, now we have a good solid foundation that we can build on. And that's when we need to consider the right kind of automation. So I mentioned this before, I'm going to mention it again. This is a big, big point. For the love of God, do not ever allow an AI to have a conversation for you with someone who's prepared to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. It makes absolutely no sense. You're screaming into the void, "We're not necessary," when you're allowing an AI to do that, right? Now, automation is great. Automation can truly set you free. It can give you your calendar back. It can give you a lot of time. And yet, I believe that we should only automate the conversation right up to the point where they're ready to actually engage with you. So when we're creating content for people, that's the whole idea, right? We want to send messaging that makes people engage with you. And, if you think about, okay, I've got the organization, I've got the automation, what do you think's missing? Content. Like, you've got to have great content. It makes absolutely no sense to send messaging that isn't great. It's a big problem, right? Because, oh my gosh, what do I say? How often do I say it? For how long do I keep saying it? These are all things that stop people from having success, right? So remember, 3 elements: message, mechanics, and then mindset that block that all in. So the content's the message, right? The organization and the automation, those are mechanics. Your mindset should be one where you sincerely enjoy engaging with people and providing service to them, right? So quick summary here. Like, if we look at your whole business and we look at all the different marketing funnels that could exist, any way that you come into contact with someone, there should be some type of follow-up sequence that's unique to that source. And, in our business, of course, that's what we specialize in, is building those and sending the right content. Now, if you want to go through and handle all that stuff yourself, more power to you. And, I'll help you do that, right? You can get the Healthy Database Checklist here to help you on your way. So, again, I just want to show that there on the screen for you for a moment. So all you have to do is send an email to that address, and our system will respond with that for you. Now, I'm going to get back to this roller coaster for a moment, because we're talking about mindset as being fundamental to your success. So let's start shifting some mindsets here. Are roller coasters fun? Some people say, yeah, absolutely. Other people are like, no, not in a million years. So I'm going to say that I believe you could be thrilled on a roller coaster. I don't know that you could be seriously happy on one. So we got to change the thinking about this. If the roller coaster of our business exists, Well, let's also recognize that that's a very systematic experience. I mean, an actual roller coaster is highly engineered. It's been safety tested. There's not an inch of track, probably not a millimeter of track that an engineer didn't approve, right? It's highly systematic. And at the same time, the ride starts a long time before you actually get in the car. The ride starts when you get online. You know, as a Floridian, I know that because we got Disney World and Busch Gardens, all these places where people come and they willingly get online. So that's not too dissimilar from the way any business operates, right? The moment you get online, well, you're becoming a lead, right? That's how it happens. And you know, if we look at my business and we look at yours, we really have three priorities, and these are those. We got to get leads. We got to close those sales, and of course, we got to wow our clients. We must deliver that amazing experience because their experience that they have with us, that's your income. That's it. Your GCI equals the experience that you're delivering. And well, the big question is, what kind of experience should I deliver? You know, really, I'm going to encourage you to think about that because, you know, I have clients who wear flip-flops and I have clients who are disgusted by the sight of people wearing flip-flops. Like if you're in Tribeca or Manhattan, right, that is not something that works in that market. It just doesn't. And yet if you're in Myrtle Beach or, you know, New Smyrna Beach, Florida, and you're not, it seems a little odd. So whatever you're committed to in terms of the experience that you're providing, be committed to it, right? It's not up to you how they react to that experience. It's up to you to decide what that experience is. So here's a critical point about the communications that you're creating. You know, we've talked about the message, we've talked about the mechanics, and those two things overlap, right? And where they overlap, we have an opportunity to create emotion. And, you know, from my perspective, creating emotion is a non-negotiable necessity. It has to happen because it's the only way to cut through all the noise that's in the space today. You know, how many ads do you think you see every day, right? They're fired at you left and right and center. Attention is a currency. So the way that you actually capture someone's attention is by sending messaging that creates an emotional response. The words you choose matter. And of course, we're experts at putting those words together such that you get that response. And, you know, when you consider that emotion produces behavior, it's absolutely critical. So now that we've covered some of this groundwork, let's take a look at how this applies to your actual business. So these are the most common lead sources in real estate. This is where your business is very likely to come from. And whether it's, you know, a referral from a past client, you notice that's the largest and the first thing. Like, raise your hand for me. Tell me right now in the chat if most of your business comes from past clients and referrals. I'll wait. Go ahead and enter it there. Brent Daly, not me. Love it. Okay, Stephen, yes, and it takes a while to develop. That's right, not day one. Gene, yes, absolutely, yes, yes, yes. Lots of yeses coming in here. So this is one of my favorite questions to ask whenever I'm speaking live somewhere, because you know you get a few hundred people together in a room and you say something like, "So raise your hand for me if most of your business comes from past clients in Sphere," and you know you see most of the room will raise their hand. And then I'll say, all right, now guys, keep your hands up and just look around the room. And you see all these people who, you know, for the first time, they're starting to go, wow, what does that mean? And what it means is that you're awesome. If that's the reality of your business, if you're generating most of your business from past clients in Sphere, it's proof that you're doing a really good job for people, okay? So, you know, all these internet leads, these portal leads, these valuation sites, social media, networking, prospecting, blah, 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 blah. If you want to convert more of those leads, the recipe is simple. You have to teach those people who don't know you what these past clients in Sphere do. know about you. So that's a large part of what we do, is transfer that knowledge. So, let's look at the data here, right? We've got a report from NAR that tells us we have 85.5 million digital leads per year for 5.5 million transactions, right? So, wow, that's a whole lot of leads for a much smaller amount of transactions. And, if you're a team leader or a brokerage and you're working really hard to generate leads and you're pulling your hair out because your agents aren't following up with them, well, the consequence of the difference in these numbers is something called lead fatigue. Most people are registering as a lead a long time before they're actually ready to have a conversation about buying, selling, or investing. So, the agent reaches out, they don't get any response. So, what you need to do to really thrive in this situation is you've got to have a very good long-term nurturing and conversion program. As if we think about what the experience is of that shopper, right? Let's pay attention to their needs, right? They're the people here who really matter. They're being targeted by an average of 10 agents. So maybe they register on Realtor.com or Zillow or somewhere else, and their information is now sold as a lead to multiple agents. Maybe they register on your IDX site and on someone else's IDX site, right? Maybe they respond to your Facebook ad and a few others as well. So, what this means is that they're in touch with a lot of agents, and yet a lot of agents are sending exactly the same thing, right? Now, the real rub are these 8 to 12 numbers, because that buyer, they're typically beginning their search 8 to 12 months, not before the transaction, but before they're ready to talk to you about the transaction. So you must have a plan to communicate with these people over long periods of time without being, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? You've got to show up in a way that it builds a real relationship. That's super important. So, let's go a little deeper into what the experience of this buyer is today. Agents who aren't using systems, according to the Wave Group, make an average of 1.2 phone calls, they send 2 emails, and then they declare the lead dead, right? So you can relate to this. If you're an agent, you have bills, right? And so you focus most of your time on those people who are near-term opportunities. You have to. You can't afford to do it any other way. And yet, if you're investing in lead gen, these leads aren't bad. They're just not ready yet, right? So, several years ago, there's technology that came along to help with this. And that, of course, is the famed search update. So we get MLS data, boom, we automate it. It gets sent out to people who've searched for homes on your site or via a portal, right? Or maybe they just reached out to you and you went into your MLS and you added it. So a few years ago, this was great because, the data would come out and it would be generally useful for their search. And, today, if that person is registered with 10 agents, it looks like this, right? So, it's not, I cannot understate how important this is. In this scenario, your potential client, that next person who's going to become your client, they can't tell you apart from anyone else. There's zero differentiation there, absolutely none. If all you're sending is data about price change alerts and new listings and things they might also be interested in, it's not nearly enough. And I believe that that's a huge problem for our industry and a huge problem for agents, a huge problem for buyers and sellers. And at the same time, it's a massive opportunity for you, because if this is the environment that you have to compete in, you don't have to send more content to make up for it. You've got to send different content, right? You've got to communicate to that person why it is that you specifically matter. That's what makes all the difference. And, I'm really proud of the fact that over 9 years, we've created a reputation for producing content that actually makes a difference for people. So, I'll show you just a few of these things here now, but it's not rocket science, guys. If you treat people like people first, not like a sales target, you'd be amazed how they'll actually respond to you and they'll appreciate that. So, the journey that I've been on here with my company, we started in 2011. We wrote one email once every 3 weeks, and that was it. Boom, everybody got the same email. And because what we were writing was different, it worked. Wow, people loved it. We had all sorts of cool comments and conversations. And look who's here, Barb Bobnar, all the way back from 2011 when she started with us. She's here on the webinar today, and she's a bad ambassador for Happy Grasshopper too. So, that there's just not enough that I can say about the value of relationships and time, right? So as great as this was, and as much as people liked it, it wasn't enough. So in 2013, we launched our custom writing service. And that's where we created content for people based on who they were. So we hired a team of writers, they interviewed our clients, and that went on to create like all these great sort of responses. We got a lot of coverage. People loved the content. People loved the results that they got as a result of the content. Like my man, Brent Daly, who's here on this webinar right now, we found 17 transactions were hiding in his database. Like, amazing. I'm sure he would have liked to have had those, and yet they were there for him when we send the right message. Wes Postlethwaite, like one email, he gets 5 appointments from that email. You want to talk about lead gen? Communicate to people you know and invite them to meet you for coffee. Not rocket science, but so compelling. Here's another one, Carol Castle. I love this. We see this sort of thing all the time where we send one message and people end up with listings. And I'm not going to belabor this point, guys. There's so many of these, it's absolutely crazy. What we're going to do is we're going to get to the brand new stuff, right? That's where I want to focus. So again, we started with email. We've added text messaging, voicemail drops, print, which means handwritten cards, and a Facebook Messenger integration. And of course, we also have content for social media. So there's a ton that's here that's live now. And the text messaging is going to be available here early in August. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit this PowerPoint. Like, we're going to jump out of this, and I'm going to pull up my new stuff for you. I want you guys to see how amazing the new Happy Grasshopper is. So let me just find the right thing here. All right, so you guys should be able to see my screen there, and I'm just going to go to my.happygrasshopper.com. And first thing you'll see is that it takes me to a dashboard page, right? So I'll expand this. And here you get some nice data about what's going on in your account. Then down the left-hand side here, we see all these different types of sends that we have. And you'll notice here at the bottom, for you longtime members, we've got handwritten cards and voicemail drops. Those are brand new things that have been added to our system. So beneath this, we have a management area where we, of course, keep your contact data. You've got the ability to have tags and audiences, build your own email signatures. We even have custom fields and custom forms. So like if you want to have an open house sign-in sheet that you can use electronically, you can have that here. We'll brand it for you. We'll put your stuff on it. You can run it from an iPad. Super easy. Now, I want you to raise your hand for me if you send handwritten cards as part of your regular business. Just go ahead and tell me in the chat if you do that. And yes, Brent, I'm going to show samples. Absolutely. So let's see. Yeah, go ahead and tell me if you're sending handwritten cards currently. And I think you should be, right? Transaction anniversaries, holidays, birthdays, thanks, nice to meet yous, just touching base. All of those things are really important. It feels like such a human touch. So it should be a very important part of what you're doing. Now, in our system here, you'll notice all I have to do is click create a card, and then I get to choose. So we've got categories here. Like you'll see there's tons of different categories of content. Holidays, all sorts of things are here. Now I'm going to go ahead and click real estate because I know who's on the webinar today. So let's say I want to send a congratulations message. I can do that, or maybe I'll send this home doors one. I'll just click this. So here you see the cover of the card. and then you've got the content, right? So anything that you write over here shows up on the interior of the card. So I'm going to just write a quick message for you. Congratulations, whoops, and happy home anniversary, right? Can you believe it's been a whole another year since buying your home, right? All my best, Dan. So whoops, Dan. So that's a very quick message here. I'm just throwing it off here. Now, what you see here on the left-hand side, you can control the way it looks here by selecting different fonts. So we have fonts that you will love. We have fonts that are close to your natural handwriting style. Like as I scroll through here, you'll see all these sorts of different fonts. And one thing I want you to notice, like let me find one here. Wherever you see a word that's got two of the same letters in it, I want you to notice that those letters show up differently. So it's designed to look super, super organic here. Like the P's look so different in happy. Believe, we've got 3 E's in there, and each of the E's look different, right? So let me stop the screen share here for a moment so you can see the largest camera views possible. We have a room of robots that hold pens in their robot hands, and they write these cards for you. So how cool is that, right? That appears to be exactly handwritten. It's super, super organic. It's got a first-class stamp on it, and whoosh, we send it out for you. Now, here's one of the cards. I want to point this out too, because like there are a lot of services that send cards. You might know Send Out Cards, for example. And what do you see on the back of that? Send Out Cards. They're marketing themselves on the cards they send. And of course, it doesn't look like it was handwritten. It looks like it was printed. So this looks like you ran down to Hallmark and you bought a card. Like this is a high quality piece of stationery. And when you look on the back, there's no sent by Happy Grasshopper stuff. It just, you know, it looks exactly like you went and you bought a card. And of course, the content in the card, whatever you write there, is what shows up. So I'm going to turn the screen share back on. This is super, super handy and useful for you when it's time to send messaging. And it's so easy to do so. So like, I'll show you one of the ways that we use this. Like every day we're engaging with people. You know, we've got thank you cards that go out to people when they sign up, great to meet you stuff that goes out. And all of these get saved here. So if I want to send a new thank you message, like here, I'll click content. You see the interior of the card here. I just click send save. And then all I have to do is choose the name of the person I want to receive it. Right? Boom, Sarah, schedule, right? So I click schedule. I see the price for that card, which includes stamping and putting it in the mail. So less than you can run to Hallmark and buy a card for, we're doing the whole thing for you. And then you can choose the date for delivery. Now, a couple of important things here. I'm going to come to contacts. Like, I'm going to go ahead and just click on a contact here. Actually, I don't want to do that. I don't want to expose anybody's information here. So I'm going to create a new contact. I'll expose mine. Daniel Stewart. Okay, and I'm Dan at happygrasshopper.com. Big secret there, you all could have guessed. Pop my phone number in here. All right, so now I'm going to save this. Of course, I'll mark my gender as male. If I knew my birth date, I could enter it here. And I save that. Of course, this email address is already here. So let me just search for me, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so here we go. Our system's pulling in a Gravatar. So if someone has a saved picture of themselves there with Google's Gravatar service, it pulls it in. The address gets plotted automatically on a map here. And then, of course, you've got the ability to add tags and social fields. You can add custom fields. You can keep notes. And then, of course, there's a log of what happens here automatically. So whatever we sent, whether it's email, whether it's voicemail drops, whatever it might be, that information gets cataloged there. So I think this is a pretty like super sweet, easy way to manage contacts. And I know that our members, we have some that are like, I love my CRM. And I say, fantastic, like there's no need to change. We integrate with hundreds of different CRM services. And we have other members who say, my other CRM, I don't really use it. I don't really like it. So by adding these additional features here, we're really eliminating the need for a lot of you to have more than one service. Like we can be your primary CRM. So I think that's a really cool thing. I'm very proud of. Now, I'm going to jump back over here to the left-hand side. We're going to talk about voicemail drops. So anybody ever heard of a service called Sly Dial or Sly Broadcast? Like, that's pretty cool, right? Oh, and I see we got a bunch of questions here, so I'll fill this in. I'll answer your questions in a moment, but there's services where they blip your phone, you have a message, and then you go, oh, I missed a call, and you listen to it, and there's a voicemail from someone. So what we've done is we've built our system to do this for you, right? So let's say you're hosting an open house, and you want to record one thank you message. And I say, be organic. Oh, hey, it's me, Dan. I was thinking about you guys, wanted to thank you for visiting my open house today. I always love to meet new people, so you can count on me to follow up with you. I hope that we'll have a chance to chat again soon. If you need me, here's my number, 727-232-9117. Again, great to chat. Bye. Like simple, organic. I've recorded that one time, and it goes out to all the people that it needs to automatically. Another great use for voicemail drops. Let's say we've got, I kind of love this example. So this is a true to life example, so they're always the best. Our offices are on Main Street in Safety Harbor, Florida. So we're at the very north end of Tampa Bay, and it's just a block or two down, and we've got the beautiful bay right there at the end of the block. So the municipality does a huge fireworks display there every 4th of July. And so we have a house party here in our offices. We invite people to come up, and all I have to do is record one voicemail. Hey guys, it's Dan. Hope you're doing great, and I hope you're coming to see the fireworks here on the 4th of July. Don't forget, my office is just down the street. We're at 500 Main Street. Just come on up the stairs. We're going to have drinks and beverages and all sorts of stuff for you guys. So I hope to see you. If you need me, blah, 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 right? Super easy. It's just a nice way to touch people and let them know you care. And yet prevent you from having to call every single person individually. So I've given you 2 good examples of how to use it. Now I'm going to give you a bad example. Do not do this. Do not buy a list from an information source. Like, you can build a list, you can buy a list of all the people in your market who own homes, and you could record a message that's like, hi, I'm Dan Stewart, Realtor, and I want to sell your house. Call me today at blah, blah, blah. No, don't ever do that. That's so spammy. People are going to complain. It's going to become a big problem for you. So all of these messaging types, they can be used effectively, they can be used ineffectively. I'm, of course, going to advise you to do the things that work and avoid the things that don't. So a couple of good examples there. Now, let me see about your questions. All right. So Jeanette's here. Awesome. Hi, Jeanette. Can Open House be used by Android? Yes, absolutely. So that Open House sign-in sheet, any web device, whether it's an iPad, an Android, it does not matter. We're just giving you a URL, and I'll show you that here now. So custom forms, like if you want to use a page, you just click use. You see you're getting a unique URL here. It pulls this page up. Now, in this demo account, we don't have this branded with anybody's stuff here on it, but you could have your logo and information there. That would be a very easy thing to do. So hope that helps with that question. Let's see here, more questions. Can we upload our own handwriting if we have ours in a font? No, you cannot, not at this point in time. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see, Mike, I can't write that straight across, no worries. And Harry, yes, you're exactly right with the voicemail drop. Yeah, I mean, you've got people on the DNC who should not be receiving these calls from you. And, you know, the way that we're doing it, right, people are opting in, they're asking to be followed up with. So got to be careful about that. Mike, the personal notes, the handwritten cards are available now. Yes, absolutely they are. Jeff, I love your question. Will the system come with any campaigns? Will it allow us to build out campaigns that are multimedia using voicemail, text, mailer cards, etc.? The answer is yes, yes, yes. Absolutely, all that stuff is there. So let me teach you a little bit about our process. So when we're working with a member, they're typically coming to us for one of these three reasons. And, you know, I don't know what yours might be, Jeff, but we'll figure that out. You need to go to that happygrasshopper.com/next-steps and book an appointment with us. And either me or one of my teammates will go through your business with you and figure out what we need to do. Now, my business model is service first, guys. There are no contracts, and we actually guarantee everything that we do. So there's a chance we won't let some people sign up because we know we can't help them. Now, when we do work with you, we go through a production plan. So we start with whatever tech you're using. And, you know, I should really emphasize this, guys. We have a team of success coaches. It's their only job to help you through this process. So they work with you through these 4 steps, and they start by importing and organizing your database. Literally the hardest thing for you to do, we're doing for you. Then, of course, they're scheduling a call for you with one of my writers. That writer's interviewing you. They're creating content. You're reviewing the content and giving us feedback, right? So you'll say, ooh, I love this, it sounds like me, or, oh, I don't love this, it doesn't sound like me. And the reason that's important is if we're building relationships for you through content, I might really like you in the inbox. You need to be the same dude when we shake hands for the first time. Like, has to be congruent, has to be. So this whole process takes about 2 to 4 weeks once we start, and then we have a launch call. And at that point, it's not like, oh, I need weeks to figure out how this works. We've built it all out for you. We just need to turn it on. And when that happens, we're typically starting by re-engaging lost opportunity, right? So old leads, people in your sphere you haven't connected with, other agents, all those vendors that you're referring all the time. Well, they need to be sending you business too. So we re-engage those folks. And then for the lead conversion content, we first acknowledge them according to the source. We position you to them appropriately, and then we nurture them over time. So, you know, today we send about 25 million emails per month. And, you know, we try to be transparent here. So these are our deliverability metrics published on our homepage. That open rate is kind of unheard of when it comes to email marketing today. And the reason for that is we're helping you communicate to people that you're relevant to. So again, my best advice for you guys is to go to happygrasshopper.com/next-steps, which I'll pull up here now for you. You can learn a bit more about what all we do, like bing, bing, bing. It's all described here. And then you just go ahead and you click to schedule a call. It's going to open up a calendar for you. You simply choose your time zone, wherever you happen to be. You choose a time that's convenient for you, and either myself or a member of my staff is going to reach out to you to conduct those calls. So let me talk to you a little bit about who you'll meet. You know me already. You may not know my son, Ben. He's been with us now for about 3 years. He's awesome. So proud of the work that he's doing. So you might speak with Ben. We've got Raphael. Raphael's so amazing. I can't wait for you guys to meet Raphael. And of course, Eric Yan. Eric, amazing guy. So, you know, these are a team of experts who can guide you through a process to where you can get the sort of results that we've talked about today during the webinar. Now, I've tried to preserve a little bit of time here to answer your questions. Harry, you're asking for pricing. I'm going to cover pricing here for you. So here's the deal, right? I don't know you, Harry. I don't know exactly what you need. Our basic service is just $99 per month. And then we have custom content packages that you absolutely need. I'm just not sure what the extent is. So the typical member is going to invest about $1,895 with us to start. And then the ongoing service, you pay either $99 per month or you pay $799 per year, which saves you about $389 if you do it that way. Now, again, everything that we do as a brand, like it says here at the top of this page, it's all with no contracts and it's all guaranteed. So even if you do the prepay, if for some reason you're out of business or you don't want us anymore, we would prorate back the difference to you. And again, I'm doing that because this is my company. I own it entirely, and I really just want to serve people that I know it can help. So that's kind of how it works. That's kind of how it works. So let me pull up that page here for you again. You're going to go to happygrasshopper.com/next-steps. That's it, folks. That's where you need to go. So no fluff, no buff. I don't know if that's the right term, but no BS on this webinar, guys. I've shot you straight. I'm here for you. I'd like to be a force for good in your life, and I hope that you'll grab some time with me on the calendar there. So thanks you all for paying attention, and have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.